Real Country 1430 AM and 107.3 FM WRDN. Brian Winnikins from the NAFB convention in Kansas City. Thank you to our broadcast sponsors, including Alcivia Co-op, Annabis Silo of Durand Animal Wellness Center of Buffalo Valley, Osteoplastics, Compeer Financial, and Synergy Co-op. Joining us is Kevin Scott, chairman of the American Soybean Association. Get an update on some of the things going on with soybeans. And Kevin, well, thank you for joining us today. Well, you know, one of the big opportunities for soybean growers has been biofuels, soy biodiesel, even soy home heating oil is, in the northeast part of the country. But that is something that's really starting to take off, and with what we've been having with supply chain issues and all of that, it's more important than ever, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. We in at the American Soybean Association, of course, promote biofuels greatly, and it's been for as long as I've been in the farming operation, we've always had an oil issue. You could produce the meal, and that was a feed, and you could get rid of that pretty easy. But the oil was usually a drag on the market. And lately, with the push towards biofuels use, the green energy, of course, renewable resources, and those kinds of things, the biofuels industry and soybeans have been really going well with that. And so now the oil is basically pulling the market, the soybean market for us, and it's a fantastic use for soybeans and for our oil, and we think it's a fantastic product. The new products, renewable diesel coming, that is a one-for-one replacement to diesel fuel without any modifications to vehicles and those kinds of things. It just works very well for the industry.
And the future of that, there's a lot of talk about these EV vehicles, these electric vehicles, these, for cars and pickup trucks, but even semis. But we really haven't gotten there yet. This is really a bridge, really, and I would even submit a permanent fix in using biofuels, because I don't know how you charge a semi up. I just don't know how that's going to work, even 10 years down the road.
Well, absolutely. And I come from South Dakota, and we have 850,000 people in the state, and a lot of space between them. And if you got part of our country and you got an electric vehicle out there and ran out of a charge, you're done. And it's not that we can't build infrastructure and make that happen, but electric cars and electric trucks, you plug them into a grid that has to be powered by something else, and it's not just it's not as green as what people have been saying, and I think you're right. The biofuels that the industry is where some of that is going to be backed up with. Electric vehicles are fine. I think in a city situation where you can drive 10 miles to work and then back home, and you plug that car in overnight, that's okay. It's still, you've got to have a battery in there, and batteries are made by a lot of resources that are used to make batteries are coming out of the ground, and so it's not a very green process to make batteries. And renewable fuels are just that. We grow them year to year, and we can continue to supply the market with the power they need.
Talking with Kevin Scott, he's chairman of the American Soybean Association, and really in part with the renewable fuels, the growing of soybeans, and for not only food but also fuel and fiber. But there's the sustainability and conservation part of it that goes with all of that with the growers, right?
Absolutely. We right now there's a huge push to sequester carbon, and in agriculture we're very, very good at that. My whole career has been about building organic matter in my soil. We call it sequestering carbon now, but we've been doing it forever, and we've always known that the more I improve my soil, the better response I'm going to get from my crop, and the more sustainable I'll be. There will be less inputs going in and more input coming out, product coming out. And so that's the whole idea about sustainability and being on the land, farming now for 40 years. And I have a son who is moving into the farm operation, and he has sons that we hope to continue to have on that operation. So building a better factory basically by improving the carbon in our soil has been in our wheelhouse for a long time, and we think that is just something that we do naturally in agriculture, and we need to make other people realize that that's what we have been doing. We don't need legislative issues to force us into improving our land, because we're going to do that naturally.
Talking with Kevin Scott, chairman of the American Soybean Association. Let's talk about infrastructure. Boy, right now we're dealing with the lower Mississippi River. Barges are all backed up. And some of it's because of the drought, but that's been one thing with redoing the lock and dam system on the Mississippi and really the Missouri rivers as well, though, something that we've just let go for far too long.
Yeah, that it seems we like to have disasters to fix, and that we kind of create some of our own once in a while. But it does move Congress a little bit when the issues are like this. We in the American Soybean Association we bring these issues to Congress regularly. That we need to continue to have a strong infrastructure package, and we were happy with the administration's passage of an infrastructure bill. Because there are things that had needed to be financed for a long time, and locks and dams are a huge one. You can see that if the rail strike happens, that's another big issue, and we are trying to position ourselves to play defense in that scenario, and try to make sure that the administration knows our U.S. won't function very well without an operating rail either. But if you take rail and the locks and dams and the barge, the low water levels, you put them all together, and we could have a serious issue with moving our product around the United States and around the world. And 50% of what we produce for soybeans in the United States are exported. So for us, it's critical.
You mentioned that potential rail strike. How critical, or how bad would it be for the soybean growers?
Well, it would be I live in South Dakota, and so the northern tier of states export most of our soybeans off the Pacific Northwest, which is a rail route for us. The southern route, of course, if we can't export our soybeans off the Gulf, more of the soybeans have to go off the Pacific Northwest or go off the East Coast, or they have to be moved by rail or truck. And to put a truck under the amount of soybeans that a rail can move is very expensive, and so it would not be a good move for us to have to do that. And especially with fuels the way they are priced right now, if you had to truck beans from my house to the Pacific Northwest, you would probably have to pay them to take them. So it's just a huge amount of freight involved in that. So a rail issue that would be that could go on strike would be very serious for us, especially at a time when we're trying to ship fertilizers up from the south, and with the Gulf or with the waterways low like they are, they can't use those routes to bring fertilizer up either. So it all has to be railed in. So it could be pretty serious.
Hopefully they'll figure a way to get all that taken care of. That is Kevin Scott. He's chairman of the American Soybean Association from the NAFB convention in Kansas City. I'm Brian Winnikins.